This is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Umudu Gajaga and thanks for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. There is a scarcity of fish at the Brufut fish landing site following a dispute between the owner of the local ice plant, the fishermen and fish vendors. The National Assembly Thursday considered and adopted the Select Committee on Monitoring the Implementation of Government Projects report on the Gambia Public Buildings and Facilities Authority Bill 2022. Following a review of the Nutrition Bill 2023, the Deputy Chair of the Select Committee on Health, Honorable Modulamin B. Bar, presented the committee's findings and recommendations before Parliament on Thursday. At a media briefing on Saturday, Elections Watch Committee, one of the first elections observer group in the Gambia, presented its position paper on the elections bill that will soon be tabled before the National Assembly. And in sports news, many football lovers turned up at the SL football grounds for the clash between NBR's Lockran United and SL United FC. Those are the news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. There is a scarcity of fish at Brufut fish landing site following a dispute between the owner of the local ice plant, the fishermen and fish vendors. QTV's Julden Jai visited the fishing village to find out why this lucrative sector that contributes over 12% of the country's GDP is in the center of attention this week.
The boat owners at the Brufut fish landing site are incurring losses due to shortage of ice to preserve their fish. They blame the scarcity and high price of fish on the ice sellers, who they allege refuse to sell them the ice while threatening to increase the price from $120 to $150. The ice sellers, on the other hand, refute these allegations. A normally crowded and busy place, the Brufut fish landing site, located in the West Coast region of the Gambia, is now seeing an easy calm due to a dispute between the boat owners, fish vendors, and an ice plant owner. Keba Fai, president of the Brufut landing site Fishermen Association, explains the reasons for the fish scarcity.
Nabi Bengojang, a dalilo mo kukilinda malt. The
purpose of our gathering today is that boat owners want to go and fish, but they cannot because there is no ice, and most of these boats spend days at sea, so they cannot go without ice. And this is the third day that we've been standing here without work. We are not saying they should not increase the price, but it should be done in consultation with the fishermen, who are the reason why they established here in the first place. This country is governed by laws. You cannot wake up one day and increase prices just like that. Fish is expensive now because fishing boats and trawlers are expensive, and even fuel is expensive.
Omar Gay, PRO of the Artisanal Fisheries Cooperatives, claims that he engaged the authorities at the Ministry of Fisheries, who promised to resolve the issue, to no avail. Mr. Gay says they have been working tirelessly for the people to have fish, but despite their efforts, they have not been recognized and respected.
We represent so many things. Even vehicles are not on the highway these days because there are thousands of people who earn their livelihood from this site daily. Therefore, the government should pay attention to this and give us our due. They should not leave us in the hands of foreigners to treat us anyhow they want. Any fishing boat you see here is paying taxes.
Ajakadi Jalo and Majay Manjang, both fish vendors, also lament how the fish shortage is affecting their livelihood.
Us residents of Brufut earn our living in this river. We pay our children's tuition fee and support our husbands too. I will start with fishing vessels. They are a huge burden to us. They don't sell their fish to us, and they are obstructing the boat owners who supply us with fish. So I am appealing to the government, starting from the president, to intervene and address this situation. We are worried now. We all cannot go to the president to ask for help. We believe in hard work, so we should be given our due because Gambian women are tired. We cannot all be at home doing nothing.
We also engaged Bilal Budib, the CEO of the ice plant at the landing site and a member of the Ice Sellers Association of the Gambia. Mr. Budib clarifies that the decision to increase the price of ice is a collective one. He attributes the increase in prices of ice to the high cost of electricity and commodity prices.
They were in rush this morning to take the ice, and I says, let me go and find out what price we can give before I can supply you. So if I wanted to force them, I would have been open and sell at 150 because I would have basically forcing them to buy it at 150, which I did not. So I went all the way to Tangi to have an important meeting with all of us, with all the beach committee of Tangi, with Alkali, with people from fisheries, with all the association we had to agree to a price at 135.
The recent shortage of fish has left both fishermen, vendors and consumers in difficult times, especially during this time of the rainy season. For the moment, it doesn't appear that this dispute is any closer to a resolution. For QTV News, I am Julde Njai.
The National Assembly Thursday considered and adopted the Select Committee on Monitoring the Implementation of Government Project Report on the Gambia Public Buildings and Facilities Authority Bill 2022. Ansumane Sonyasi was at the National Assembly. He now reports.
There is currently no law in the Gambia requiring public buildings to make access easy for people with disabilities. As a consequence, the majority of public buildings are unsuited to access by people with disabilities. Presented before plenary by Yaya Sanyang, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Monitoring the Implementation of Government Projects, the report follows a series of engagements with stakeholders on the merits of the bill after it was referred to the Select Committee for scrutiny following a second reading. The bill seeks to establish an authority responsible for the introduction of standards and codes for public facilities with a view to aiding access for persons with disabilities and improving public safety. Presenting the report and in defense of their findings, Yaya Sanyang argues for the importance of the bill and the need to have it enacted with amendments as observed during the committee's review of it.
Until recently, there was an absence of comprehensive public policy to guide the construction, maintenance, and management of the nation's public buildings, infrastructure, and facilities. There is also the absence of proper inventory and accounting of public assets, including reporting such in the annual national budget, as recommended by the International Public Sector Accounting Standards.
During their contributions to the debate on the report, several parliamentarians, including NAMS for Upper Florida West, Kiang West, Sabah Sanjal, and Fonyi Councillor Bakari B. Kora, Lamin Sise, Alaji B. Sise, and Almame Jiba, respectively, expressed support for the bill and commended the Select Committee for what they say is a comprehensive review of the bill, and called on fellow NAMS to help strengthen public safety by enacting the bill.
We have seen so many government facilities followed, redundant, which were no longer used, and government has still been, spending more money on rent at our private facilities.
I want to commend the committee for doing a very wonderful job, at least to look at the bill clause by clause to come up with this solid report.
Authorities could do a responsible job in standardization of public facilities, accessibility, and also working to make sure they do a framework of persons with disability in terms of buildings as alluded.
Following the debate, NAMS unanimously considered and adopted the report, setting the ground for the bill's enactment pending amendments and a third reading. Ansumane Sonyasi for QTV News.
Still on the National Assembly, the Deputy Chair of the National Assembly Select Committee on Health, Honorable Modulamin B. Bar, presented before Parliament on Thursday the committee's findings and recommendations following a review of the Nutrition Bill 2023. Ansumane Sonyasi again.
The National Nutrition Bill 2023 seeks to safeguard the rights of Gambians on food and nutrition security to complement national and international efforts through legislation. The bill has passed the first and second readings and was referred to the committee for scrutiny in anticipation of its enactment. Honorable Bah argues that enacting the legislation will complement the government's drive to provide essential nutrition services and enhance coordination among stakeholders, empower institutions to address the nutritional needs of vulnerable members of society. And he rallied his colleagues in Parliament to support the bill.
By promptly enacting this bill, the Gambia demonstrates its commitment to prioritizing the well-being of its people and to achieving its nutrition policy goals without delay. Honorable Speaker, given the above-mentioned observation and recommendation, the Select Committee on Health hereby submit this report for your consideration and adoption by this August Assembly and for the proposed recommendation to stand as part of the bill.
Reacting to the report, the members for Fonyi Councillor, Foladu West, Sani Mentoring and Nyamina West expressed support for the bill on the basis of its merits to the general well-being of the population.
Now, when you look at the health sector, patients who are normally, held in the hospital, sometimes it's a challenge for them to have nutritional benefits in terms of their health being. One, in the committee's recommendation, they've also put part of a legislative that will ensure adequate nutritional services and coordinate intervention and robust governance structure.
We all know food or nutrition is paramount to life. Food is very, very important. I think it's the most important thing in life. Without food, there will be no life.
Because as we all understand that nutrition sponsor in this country is donor funding. And when government is also putting their effort or adding their volume to make sure that they support with regards to nutrition, I think that is also a very good thing.
The importation goods that we are heading for now have a lot of impacts. I wouldn't want to mention, but most of these things that we import are locally already available for us. Taking the teas and the milks that we put in the teas and so on and so forth. We have the mormol that we do away with.
The report was ultimately considered and adopted following contributions and observations by parliamentarians majority. Ansmana Sonyasi for KTV News.
Time to take a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
Hello, boss. Operation launched.
Go on, Bomber, go on.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
What is it, Bomber?
Hello, boss. I don't understand. Amazing discounts on all the best products.
But it's really easy to understand. During Buddy Days, take advantage of exceptional discount up to 50% on tile, sanitary, and light. From June 29th to July 13th, you will be splurging. Buddy Mat, welcome home.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyapus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. At a media briefing on Saturday, Elections Watch Committee, one of the first elections observer groups in the Gambia, presented its position paper on the election bill that will soon be tabled before the National Assembly. Among other initiatives, the committee calls for prisoners to be allowed to vote and for the term and qualifications of electoral officers to be clearly stated. Alusise tells us more.
Elections Watch Committee is a coalition of 7 diverse organizations. They are Peace Ambassadors de Gambia, Activista, National Youth Parliament, Think Young Women, Bekanyang, Peace Hub de Gambia, and the Gambia Federation of the Disabled. The collaboration is dedicated to contributing to election integrity, accountability, transparency, and impartiality through monitoring the electoral processes within the Gambia. The committee's position highlights some of their concerns in the current Electoral Act, while offering recommendations on what needs to be amended in the current election bill when it comes before the National Assembly. These include the need to allow prisoners to vote, to clearly state the term of the chairman of the Electoral Commission and qualifications for electoral officers and chief electoral officer, and the eligibility of attestation for voting to be removed, among others. The committee also wants the percentage required for a losing presidential candidate to get back his or her deposit to be reduced from 40% to 20% of the total votes cast. Ansumana Kamara of Activista the Gambia is the chairman of the steering committee and sheds more light on the matter.
The EWC is of the view that every Gambian should have a birth certificate, identification card or passport. This, the government and Gambia Immigration Department should work to facilitate people across the country to have access to. The issuance of attestation by Alcalo or CFO can be abused or as evident in the 2021 General Voter Registration exercise, where EWC observers reported that 385 of 472 reports indicated that some or many applicants utilized an attestation form of identification. 11 of 472 reports indicated that all applicants use this method to register. Our recommendation is to delete Section 2D from the bill. Concern number 4, disqualification from registration as a voter. A person shall not be entitled to have his or her name entered or retained on a register of voters if he or she is serving a sentence of imprisonment. The prisoners are already serving time for their crimes.
Juju Jallo, the program manager of Elections Watch Committee, says the establishment of EWC is an initiative of Peace Ambassadors the Gambia that has observed elections since 2006. He urged Parliament to protect the interests of Gambians in line with the international instruments the country is a party to.
The purpose of this position paper is to provide informative and guidance to the National Assembly and facilitate the improvement of electoral process in the Gambia. In addition, this paper provides background information on why the Gambia needs electoral reform and how this could be achieved.
Other members of the committee believes that the proposed amendments will significantly enhance the integrity and credibility of the electoral process. By addressing these key issues, they say the election bill can better serve the democratic aspirations of the people and ensure a fair and transparent electoral system. The EWC urges lawmakers to engage in constructive dialogue and collaboration to build a stronger, more inclusive democratic process that reflects the will of the people. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Prior to its submission to the international health regulations through the WHO country office, health sector stakeholders gathered to validate the Gambia's self-assessment report on the country's performance and challenges in the health sector. Aliou Cissé again.
Validating this failed report on health involved engaging various stakeholders and experts who gathered to provide insights, feedback and verification of the findings in the report. The joint external evaluation is one of the processes to evaluate individual countries' performance and readiness in terms of thematic areas by international health regulation in relation to rapid response to public health emergencies in the Gambia. On behalf of the WHO country representative in the Gambia, Momodou Barrow, the Emergency Preparedness and Response Officer, said it marks a pivotal step on the journey towards finalizing the country's external evaluation process.
This G process commenced some few weeks ago, involving all key relevant stakeholders. Participation and your participation today underscores the importance of this collaborative effort.
Fatimata Diba, the Deputy Director of Health Services, said the purpose of self-assessment is to help the country know its strengths, weaknesses, and devise priority intervention areas.
Before you call outsiders to come and see where you are as a country, it is better you also look at yourself first internally, know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and then you put up next steps as to where you will need help. Because it would be pointless if you are already doing well in an area and then someone wants to support you in that same area. So it's better you look at yourselves. We look at ourselves as a country and say, these are the things we think are our weaknesses. So if we have external bodies also coming to look at what we identified as our weaknesses and they also agree, then together we can put up the next steps as to where do we want to go.
Dr. Buwa Manjang, the Director of Public Health, urged attendees to exercise due diligence in devising a report that truly reflects the health reality of the Gambia.
We want to make sure that the report that is generated from the self-assessment, because the country is assessing itself, so the report that is generated from this self-assessment is as accurate as possible and representative of the various thematic areas with clear evidence. That is the reference materials produced are being the means of verification. So the team here are validating the document. I will verify those reference documents and also look at the various thematic areas whether what is being imputed there is representing what they are doing as their scope of work is concerned.
Development partners will use the information of the report to guide their interventions in complementing the government's ongoing efforts to improve the health sector. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
And coming up next is sports news. Many football lovers turned up at the SL football grounds for the clash between the two football giants of the NBR, Rockland United FC and SL United FC. SL United, the home side, defeated the boys from Chakubantang. Don Williams was there and he files his report.
The SL football ground was jam-packed as everyone wanted to see who would emerge victorious as third division champions. Both teams were ushered into the field by the officiating officials lined up as the tradition for inspection by a host of football officials led by Bakari Jame, first vice president GFF, who eventually took the kickoff. As the match kicked off, both teams shows their determination. However, SL United FC were on the offensive and aggressive in their approach in the quest for the first and early goal. However, the Rockland defense thwarted those early efforts. Eventually, the ferocious and relentless pounding by SL proved too much, and in the 28th minute, a pass from the right flank saw the unmarked Modulamin Sisi headed to the far corner of the post for the opening goal, sending their supporters wild with joy. The jubilation was short-lived as Rockland United FC responded in the 35th minute through a goal by Alaji Mane to level the score at 1-1. Both sides made substitutions but could not find answer. However, the home crowd support appeared to give renewed strength to SL United FC. The answer to the puzzle facing them came through a very brilliant goal by Modulamin Sisi to register goal number 2 in the 81st minute. The contest remained tense until referee Bajinka sounded the final whistle with the final score at SL United 2 and Rockland United FC 1. The jubilant winners went home with a giant trophy and cash prize of 80,000, while losers went with 60,000. The competition Golden Boot Award was won by Mafuji Sisi of Rockland with 6 goals. Here is Modu Lamin Sisi, captain of SL United.
When I scored the first goal and they equalized, so we go to the dressing room and my boys were discouraged. So I told them, when we come into the field, I told them, I promise you that 10 minutes, you can ask them, I told them, I promise that 10 minutes, I will score the second goal to make you comfortable.
Ismaila Madi Sisi, the head coach of SL United FC, was also in jubilant mood.
We fought it very hard. It was a very tough journey, really. But today, like I said, I'm very, very emotional as well.
Kemo YCC, third vice president of North Bank Region Football Association and assistant head of competition.
Alhamdulillah, I feel very much relieved and then very much happy that today we presented our champions, regional champions to Gambia Football Federation.
And now, before we end this news bulletin, here's a recap of our main news headlines. There is a scarcity of fish at the Brookwood Fish Landing site following a dispute between the owner of the local ice plant and the fishermen and fish vendors. The National Assembly Thursday considered and adopted the Select Committee on Monitoring the Implementation of Government Projects report on the Gambia Public Buildings and Facilities Authority Bill 2022. Following a review of the Nutrition Bill 2023, the Deputy Chair of the Select Committee on Health, Honorable Modulamin Biba, presented the committee's findings and recommendations before the Parliament on Thursday. At a media briefing on Saturday, Elections Watch Committee, one of the first elections observer group in the Gambia, presented its position paper on the elections bill that will soon be tabled before the National Assembly. And in sports news, many football lovers turned up at the SAO football grounds for the clash between the NBR's Rockland United and SAO United FC. That's all we have time for in this news bulletin. Join us tomorrow, and that would be for Week in Review with Momodou Mbodj and Adedrame Lamin Sonko, who will be providing the sign language interpretation. Thank you very much and have a pleasant night. Bye.